Welcome to the show and a brand new week and another beautiful fall day in South Bend. Hope you're having a good one. I am Sean Stiers. He is Vince D'Addario, and we are here with you for not a long time, but a bit of a short time here today. We've got Notre Dame men's basketball tipping off the regular season tonight. You will hear the action here on Sports Radio WSBT. And of course, the Notre Dame Radio Network as the Fighting Irish host Long Island University this evening. So we're out at 6:25. Pregame show starts at 6:30 and tip-off at 7 o'clock or a little bit after here on Sports Radio WSBT. Vince, have you partaken in any of this hoops marathon that's been going on all day today on the first day of the college basketball season?
The first time I heard about that was when I read the outline. So
first time I heard about it was when Jesse texted me this morning.
Okay.
And he said, basketball marathon, day one. Did you know about this? 8 a.m. this morning, Queen's University of Charlotte took on Winthrop University.
8 a.m.
Winthrop won, just in case you were wondering.
Well, good for
them.
They
tipped it off at 8 a.m. There's been men's and women's basketball games all day long, and so the Notre Dame men on part of this marathon of basketball today against Long Island tonight.
So are they going to start doing like midnight madness like they do like on the first day of practice? You know, they have like a pep rally, but they have practice. You know, are they going to have games at midnight, like 12:01 tip kind of a deal?
Not. I hope not, because have you looked at the schedule at all? The women, fortunately it's a home game. It's a 9 o'clock home game against Central Michigan on the 24th.
Brutal, man. And it's all because of TV, because they got a 7 o'clock game and then they got a 9 o'clock game. 9 o'clock game should be reserved for the West Coast, not East Coast, not Eastern time.
This is year 6 for me in this second stint doing Notre Dame women's basketball. I don't remember a 9 p.m. game in any of the first 5 years. I know there's been men's games. I'm talking about for Notre Dame women's basketball.
It's brutal.
Even against UConn, they're not tipping off at 9 o'clock.
Because nobody wants to stay up till 11 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Man, it tests you. It tests your soul. It's what it does.
Well, at least you'll be able to do Sportsbeat that night.
I know. That's Thanksgiving week, though, too. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, there's actually that same day, Notre Dame men are in Las Vegas for that Players Era tournament.
Oh, yeah.
They play Rock Chalk Jayhawk at 3:30. That same day. So 3:30 to 5:30, 5:45-ish. So I don't know what's happening with Sportsbeat.
I was going to say that kind of cuts into what we like to do. So
yeah, exactly.
That'll be very interesting.
Exactly. Notre Dame Navy kickoff at 7:30 this Saturday night. And that means game day show 3 to 6:30 Eastern time. Don't know who the guests will be yet. I'm sure Tim Grau will let me know here pretty soon. Something crazy happened in the NFL yesterday, Vince. When I saw it, I could not believe it. I had no idea how it happened, and it didn't just happen once, not twice, but thrice, 3 times. 3 different times. The San Francisco 49ers flew from San Francisco all the way to New York, cross country, and beat the Giants. The Jacksonville Jaguars flew from Florida to Las Vegas, not quite coast to coast, but still a pretty good jaunt across country. Jacksonville to Vegas, they beat the Raiders. And then last night, the Seattle Seahawks, after flying all the way from Seattle to our nation's capital, beat the Washington Commanders. 3 teams, cross-country travel. I don't know how they did it, Vince, because all these college coaches tell us that you can't travel multiple time zones. You can't travel across the country and win football games. How'd they do it, Vince?
Well, don't ask Lincoln Riley. Don't ask James Franklin, because they haven't figured out how to make that happen yet. Ridiculous.
True. It's a very true story.
Look, NFL teams, they travel in the lap of luxury, if you will, you know, in a giant plane and all of these different things. But guess what? So do college kids.
Yep.
And they do it the day before, and they're going to be just fine. And it's once a week.
And they're chartering.
They're 100%. Like they're just fine.
Yeah.
And we don't hear the complaining, at least I haven't heard the complaining from the baseball teams that are having to go cross country and the track teams and the cross country team,
Swimming and
all of the things that
soccer.
you dragged all of them along with you into these conferences where they have to also go cross country. I've never heard Micah Shrewsbury or Niele Ivey complain about going cross country. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't heard it.
We're going to the West Coast this year. Both men and women are going to do the Stanford Cal swing.
Okay.
And that's stay out there. You play on Thursday, stay out there Friday and Saturday, and then play the other team. I can't remember which one is first, but both Notre Dame men and women are going to Cal and Stanford for that swing this season. How about that Bears-Bengals game? Did you watch that? The last 2.5 minutes?
I actually did watch it. I have.
Wow.
I usually don't sit down and watch an entire NFL game, but I happened to do that yesterday. And holy cow. Like, first of all, neither team packed their defense. Like that was there was no defense. And then leave it up to the Bears to give up 15 points in 49 seconds and then yet come back and win the game on a ridiculous missed tackle.
I know.
So
my daughter, she had the game paused for at least a half an hour, and so she came back in because she likes, she loves the Bears. And fortunately, the way our house is set up, she can sit in one room and watch the Bears on one TV, and then I can still, like, I'm within about 10 or 15 feet of her. I'm in another room though, and I've got my Sunday ticket up, and I'm watching other games. And so all of a sudden, Jesse texts me, "Are you watching this Bears-Bengals game?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, the Bengals are about to tie it up with like however much, a minute 24 or something
like that. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bailey, what's the Bears-Bengals score?" She's still watching. They're up by 2 touchdowns. 2.5 minutes are left. They're up by 14 points. Next thing you know, they're down by a point because the Bengals, of course, get that onside kick. That's after, of course, the pick six was negated when they would have been up by 3 touchdowns, but they called it back because they said the Bears defender was touched, down when he was on the ground. As you know, I'm just for anyone who didn't.
Oh, no, you're good.
So then, of course, they get the ball back after the Bengals take a 1-point lead, and with 37 seconds left, they score the winning touchdown. Mr. Loveland, if you please. Man.
Which still baffles me that he was actually drafted, but whatever.
I was just thinking, watching that, I was like, man, Loveland really hasn't done much this year. And then, boom, he scores the winning touchdown. Well,
and the only reason he was in position to score that touchdown is because Cole Kmet got injured. And so he was on the sideline.
True.
So he was taking Cole Kmet's reps in that particular moment. But he scored the winning touchdown. So, I mean, good for him. But, like, after the Bengals scored and there was like a minute plus, to go, and the Bears had a timeout, I was like, they're probably going to be able to get down and at least get a field goal. And that pass where he caught it and should have been tackled was well within field goal range. I was like, well, that's the game. And then he slips the tackle and goes in for the touchdown. And I'm like, well, there's still 17 seconds left. So
I know
Joe Flacco
should he have gone down a la Gunnar Stockton? Should he have gone down at the 1 and just let the seconds tick down and just kick the field goal? If you're Notre Dame, I don't think you make that call. And we'll talk a lot about kicking on today.
Yeah, we will.
a lot. I got a quick trivia question for you, though.
Oh, no.
Caleb Williams had multiple touchdown passes and multiple receptions in the same game against the Bengals yesterday. He had more than one catch against the Bengals yesterday. Do you know the last player to do that in an NFL game?
Oh, the last player, like in any of the NFL?
Yes.
I don't know. I was gonna maybe guess what's his name from the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. Did he have more than one catch in that game?
I don't think so. Nick Foles?
Yeah, thank you. With the statue and everything?
I don't think he did.
Okay. Well, then I got nothing.
The answer will amaze you.
Is it a Cowboy?
It is not. It is another Chicago Bear.
No way.
Thanks to Good Morning Football for this little nugget. Walter Payton, 1983.
Huh.
Did it against the New Orleans Saints, amazingly enough.
Well, the Aints.
They were still the Aints back then.
Yes,
they were wearing the bags on their heads and
they were bad.
All that kind of stuff.
All right.
Some good guesses. Cordell Stewart, not Cordell Stewart. It was Walter Payton. And I think someone on Good Morning Football guessed Cordell Stewart. That's a good, because they used to call him Slash, and he did a lot of different things. And
yes.
Yeah, would have said him or Hines Ward, maybe something like that. But No, it was Walter Payton,
Okay.
believe it or not. All right, let's talk some Notre Dame football. Give me one word to describe Saturday's win over Boston College.
I don't know if this is a word or not, but it's meh. Like, eh.
Eh?
It was, they at the end of the day, they got the win, which is what they needed to do for sure. The manner in which they got it was meh. Like it wasn't great. Like there was a lot left out on the field, a lot of points left out on the field.
Yes.
There was just a lot left on the field. I'll just keep it there.
There was a lot of points left out on the field.
At least 14.
To me, disconcerting just because of like the kicking issues. And again, we're going to go deep. We're going to go deeper than we've ever gone on kicking on today's show. So you've got that to look forward to. It says so in the title of the YouTube. So you knew it was coming. But we asked last week about if there was any chance that Notre Dame could have any kind of hangover effect, like a rust, a letdown, whatever, because you beat USC, big rivalry game and all that kind of stuff. And then you have fall break and, a bye week and fall break combined. They did practice 3 times last week, but they got the end of the week off. So they got a few days off. Guys went home and, different things like that. And they just, obviously watching that game, mental focus would not be at the top of the list of any good things that you could say about there are still some good things you can say from that game, but mental focus was not one of them.
No, very sluggish.
That to me, it just seemed like that was their biggest enemy.
They completely overlooked Boston College. I mean, it was
I think so too.
Based on some of the celebrations and things like that, they just anticipated coming in here and just whooping them up and not really having to put forth a whole lot of effort. And that's why they were sloppy. I mean, they were sloppy on both sides of the ball to start the game off. And eventually the roster on both sides of the ball took over eventually, but it was not quick enough. It was not soon enough. And it wasn't just the players, right? It was the coaching as well. And I know we're going to get into that in rapid fire, but it was the coaching as well.
I agree. I think that when you play like that, all things are to blame.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mitch in the YouTube chat says, waiting 2 weeks for that game was a major disappointment. Reminded me of Geraldo opening Capone's vault, the buildup and anticipation for nothing. Mitch, there was nothing in Al Capone's vault, but it wasn't Geraldo's fault. If you don't remember, Homer Simpson told you that probably 30 years ago. So don't forget that. He made a song about that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Did you ever watch The Simpsons at all? Like
a little bit here and there. Yeah. I believe
not even like in the 90s when you were still young, it didn't fascinate you at all?
It was actually something my parents said you're not allowed to watch.
That's what I was going to ask. Catholic family, and that's what my mom probably would have done to me as well.
And so therefore I never really got into it.
Gotcha.
My son, on the other hand, loves The Simpsons. He watches it on his phone all the time, like even back episodes and all that. So there you go.
Yeah.
Take that. My oldest son, not my 10-year-old.
Okay.
Because I would not let my 10-year-old watch it.
Why not, Vince? Come on.
I mean, I'm pretty out there. I'm pretty allowable of things, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the bus right there.
We're going to hear some of Marcus Freeman's comments from his press conference today and a couple from even right after the Boston College game as well. Were you able to watch any of Marcus Freeman's press conference today?
I watched most of it. Yes. I fast forwarded through some of the non-kicking things because I wanted to hear what he had to say about kicking, because a lot of the other stuff was he's coach speak and, things like that. But I listened to most of it. Yes.
Okay. The look Marcus Freeman had on his face today and just his general demeanor, the look was the look that Vince would make when if he showed up with his family at the all-you-can-eat buffet and found out that he was 5 minutes late and they had just closed up the buffet. That's the level that Marcus Freeman, that's how perturbed he looked.
He did not want to be there, and he certainly
didn't feel like it.
Did not want to answer special teams
kicking questions.
Because I can tell you right now, no head coach wants to answer kicking questions ever.
Exactly right.
Good or bad, ever.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
but that's what he had to deal with today, and there were a lot of them. I'm sure he spent the last 2 days, watching the film and
Oh yeah.
going over a lot of different things. Like I'm sure that there is a long, just like we were talking about, a long checklist. Now, I will say, because I think USMA 87 made a comment. He said, really, as in how bad was that win? I mean, it's a fair point because ask Penn State losing to UCLA. Like that was the beginning of the end for them and for James Franklin. Like higher ranked teams than Notre Dame have suffered losses to a team that was just as bad, if not worse. And there have been other upsets across college football. Look at
Sure.
Georgia Tech. You think Georgia Tech would like to have had a 1-point win over NC State? They'd be feeling pretty good right now. But as it is, Georgia Tech all of a sudden has gone from ACC front runner to like they've got to get in the ACC championship game and probably win the ACC championship game to have a chance at being in the playoffs. So it's a fair point. A win is still a win.
Absolutely
agree with that.
And I feel like we need to like put that out there as like a precursor to the entire conversation. Like, yeah, look, they got the win. That's good. You needed to win. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You got the win. But you can also be upset with the way that you played and know that you have to go back and fix stuff. Like that's
called
okay
having
too.
a standard.
Yeah, 100%. Like that. Did you see the video that Brian posted of Nick Saban back when he was at LSU?
No, I didn't.
It was basically in a nutshell, it was him at a press conference, and I don't know what game it was, but they won a game, but not by as much as they probably should have. It was a weaker opponent, that kind of thing. And he was visibly upset. And somebody asked him, why are you so upset? He's like, because yeah, it's great that we won, but at the same time, like we have a standard and we have a process and we didn't match it. We didn't go where it needs to be. And in order for us to be a championship level team, we have to match that standard and we have to match that process. And we didn't do it. That's not good enough. Like it's okay to be happy about the win, but also be upset with the way that it went down. Like that's okay. There's too many people out there that are either the season's over, let's not even talk about it. And then on one end, and then on the other end, well, they won. What's wrong? They won. Like the truth is somewhere in the middle, man.
It is. There was plenty of sloppy enough. Tommy in the YouTube chat says a win in and of itself is not good enough. This isn't the NFL. I would again, I agree.
It doesn't matter how you win. Like
I agree to an extent, but they did win. Now we can have the style points argument and how much that impacts Notre Dame, and we'll find that out tomorrow when the first college football playoff rankings come out, just how much that does impact Notre Dame. The fact that they played a much less comfortable game against a team. But I'll say this as well, and I was thinking about this today. When you look at the teams that Marcus Freeman has coached against this year, Bill O'Brien, probably he and Dave Doran are the two most experienced coaches that Marcus Freeman has coached against. And obviously, Bill O'Brien has coached at the Division I level. He has coached in the NFL. He coached for Nick Saban. He coached for Bill Belichick. Like the guy, like you talk about standard and everything else. But my point is, like it felt to me like, and, granted, Notre Dame's definitely had the better athletes, should have been physically superior in a lot of different ways, but BC had some extra time to put together that game plan too. And it felt like maybe that, amount of experience when it comes to coaching, maybe that helped BC and Bill O'Brien a little bit out, with some of the things that they were able to do against Notre Dame. I thought that we felt like they were going to commit to shutting down the run. That's exactly what they did. But when they did that, I felt like Notre Dame was going to just have an automatic advantage. And obviously it took a little bit for, even as nice a day as CJ Carr had, it took a little bit for him to get going against BC's defense.
Well, and I don't know that it took a while for him to get going, because I thought he was fine the entire time. I felt Notre Dame was doing.
He's the engine, the Notre Dame offense, for sure.
But I felt like they were just beating their head against the wall and running into an 8-man box all day. Like That's not going to work. And there needs to be some
Well, but I
things that
think
you
they
do.
threw all 3 times on the first possession, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they did. They
Right.
did. They absolutely did.
Which
But
you should have done. But again, it's like you still,
right.
yeah.
There were no adjustments offensively. There were 0 adjustments offensively. It was run into a loaded box, run into a loaded box. Well, our guys are better. We're going to throw it deep. Like that was the offensive game plan, and it wasn't a great offensive game plan. They basically ran 2 run plays the entire time, more or less. And it was just, like I said, there were no adjustments. And Boston College didn't have adjustments either. They still put 7 or 8 guys in the box every single time.
Yeah.
And
Once Carr started throwing over
yeah,
the top, like that was Christopher says BC sucked. I mean, you're right. Like athletically, for the most part, Notre Dame was just better than BC across the board. And I think that ultimately that's why they won that game. But that doesn't mean, even for as bad as the roster might be, they were still fairly well coached, like that's my point. And that can still mean something at the college.
yeah, they made a plan that was going to mess with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And they did a good job
And
of
it,
that.
and it did. And
Yeah.
but the result is what you got. And as you said, Notre Dame still left at least 13, like it was between 13 and 17 that I counted up.
It was a bunch. I mean,
That
it
they
was
left on the field. So
they
yeah.
should have scored on 6 straight drives, Sean. They should have
Right.
scored on 6 straight drives. The 2 that they didn't score on in a row were the field goal miss and the fumble at the 5-yard line. Like they should have scored 6 straight times. And this would have been a completely different conversation that we're having.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get knee deep into the kicking. We're going to hear a lot of comments from Marcus Freeman's press conference today, specific to the kicking game. We will do that when we return. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues with Vince D'Addario, Sean Stiers. Vince, this is one of those nights we've got a short amount of time because of Notre Dame men's basketball coming up here in about an hour. We're going to wish we actually had about a half an hour, like more than we usually do because of all the stuff that we're going to try to cram in here. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Hot topic of conversation at Marcus Freeman's press conference today was kicking, as in place kicking, as in missed kicks. The Irish missed 2 extra points and a 35-yard field goal Saturday. Also, of course, went for 2 because of the missed extra points, and that failed as well. So all 3 kickers, Noah Burnett, Marcello Diomede, and Eric Schmidt, all had chances, all missed in the game. That is after Burnett, of course, missed both an extra point and a short field goal against Southern Cal a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to start with Marcus Freeman from immediately after the game against Boston College. He was asked what the issues were with the kicking game afterwards. And here is Marcus Freeman right after the BC game.
The issues were every time we kicked the ball, it did not go in between the field goal posts. And so that's the issue. And we're going to keep putting guys in there until we consistently have somebody put the ball through the field goal post. And we have 3 kickers, but if you're rotating 3 kickers, you don't have 1. And we'll figure out physically what is it, right, with Noah. I mean, but we got to do what we do in practice better in the game. And so that's the situation. We got to figure this thing out because our team, for us to be able to make extra points and field goals. And so for us to reach the potential that we believe we have, we better fix it with urgency.
And that, you could hear kind of some of the sternness in his voice if you saw the video, like until today. Like that was probably as mad as I've seen Marcus Freeman after a win when he was talking about that. And by the way, points for the John Madden. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1. If you have 3 kickers, you don't have 1.
If you play 3 in a game, you certainly don't have 1.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that was Marcus Freeman after the game. And then today, again, a lot of questions about the kicking game. I asked him how much of what we've seen, how much of these issues that we've seen these last 2 games, because we've got 5 total missed kicks in 2 games combined. That is a lot, especially when you're talking about 3 extra points and 2 field goals that are basically just a little bit longer than extra points. Neither one, the longest of the field goals has been 35 yards.
And
so
that's
how much?
I'm sorry.
I know you got to make that kick.
Anything inside 40 needs to be made.
Yeah. You're a Division I kicker on scholarship.
Yeah,
you got to make that kick.
I'm sorry.
I don't think any of us disagree with that. But so how much of the issues that we've seen in these games have shown up in practice, or is it showing up in practice?
By the way, this was the best question that was asked about kickers.
Oh, thank you, Vince.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kicking Guru.
It was a legit question. Like it was, are you seeing this in practice? Like that's a legitimate question, unlike some of the others.
We'll hear most of them. Here we go.
Yeah, most of it's game. They're never perfect in practice. I mean, some days they are, right? We kick 2 times a week and it's been pretty good in practice, but that doesn't mean anything if we're not doing it in the game. And so there has to be a process of translating what we're doing in practice to the game. And that's why I say a lot of it is mental. There's a technique to it, right? There's a technique to kicking a football, but there's a human element. When all of a sudden you're out there on Saturday that can mess with your mind, mess with your head, and get you to revert back to a technique that isn't producing consistent results. So we have to really have a plan of attack for the human element that happens on Saturday. There's added pressure. And it's easy to say, don't feel the pressure, don't worry about the pressure. Like I would tell them, like, who cares? But it's easy to say that. It's really hard to do. And we have to continue to equip them with tools that helps them in that moment, right? And we can try to simulate it in practice. I can yell and scream at them. That's a way to simulate pressure, that your coach is going to yell and scream at you. But that has nothing. That's not even close to what's really the pressure probably they feel when they got to make a field goal, and especially after you've missed some. And so it's a challenge, but we got to fix it, and we got to work at it and attack it, and we're going to do that. We are doing that.
Vince, I mean, Pat McAfee is pulling these college kids out of the crowd after they've been doing beer bongs all morning, and they're drilling. He sets them up at 33 yards, and there's all these fans, on each side, and there's money on the line. Some of them are kicking for $500,000. They're, like at a minimum, they're kicking for over $100,000. That's a lot of money for a college kid. And they're 33-yard field goals. So they're all like within the range that we're talking about. And again, most of them are college students. Like some of them have kicked in high school before, but there's more pressure on those kids, I think, than making an extra point.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's not 80,000 people yelling at you either.
No, but you've got about 1,000 who are standing right next to you, and you've got
it's like a gallery for golf.
Yeah,
a lot more kids miss than they do
louder,
make, though.
But louder.
A lot more kids miss than make it.
They've been making them
recently
much
because they allow these kids who actually get pulled to pick somebody to kick for them, and these guys are all former kickers. Like they shouldn't allow that, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I think
you took the wrong approach with your son. By the way, I
did.
I think you should have told him to sit out of school for a year, because I went and found the rules for the McAfee kicks. You can't be a current or former college kicker.
They actually have rules.
Disqualifies himself right away. Yeah, they do. It's
okay.
It's up on the ESPN website. What I would have done, like having a kid who was a successful high school kicker, I would have paid for him to travel around the country and get in this lottery every week.
And just start talking to people.
Yeah,
be like, hey,
once he gets in,
if you win, come to me.
Yeah,
like I'm your guy.
Exactly.
I know,
anyway,
right?
I digress.
I missed the boat on that one.
For Marcus.
No, I definitely missed the boat on that one for sure. Look, we're gonna hear more cuts. Obviously, do you want my solution to the kicking problem now, or do we want to listen to some more cuts?
All right. Do you want to hear more cuts?
Yeah,
first?
let's some more cuts.
Because he talked a little bit. The one thing though, Christopher asked this. He asked you, "Are they kicking too much in practice?" And you heard in that last cut, they're only kicking twice a week. What he said.
There's a difference though. They're only kicking with the team twice a week. The thing about Notre Dame and any major D1 is that they've got multiple fields that they can use. And so the kickers are always on a field all by themselves, kicking the entire practice. And so
what else are you going to do? Like, you'd be mad if they weren't most of the time, right?
I would not be mad, because there is such a thing as over kicking.
Okay. All right.
But
keep going.
But the point is,
what you're here
the only practices that we've been to were way earlier in the season. And that's what we saw. I don't know what they do on a regular basis. I can go off of the way that my son's team does it. They only kick once or twice a week, but that's with the team, right? But they don't even have another field. So they literally sit on the sideline and watch practice.
So they don't have any, because
there's nowhere else for them to go.
Else to do. But they
they
don't kick into nets or anything like that on the
Not really. A little bit, but not really. But I've also seen my kid kick too much and get hurt. And get injured because he kicked too much. You know what I mean? So there is a happy medium in there as well that you have to find, and every kid is different.
Here's a question for you. They've got golf simulators, right? Mm-hmm. Are you aware, do they have kicking simulators?
Not to my knowledge.
Where they could, you're just dry kicking. You're not actually putting foot to ball, which, that's where obviously
that's kind of
a lot
major
of the
part of it. Yeah.
Impact comes from.
They have this thing called TrackMan that, it's a video, and then it tells you what the apex is, like how far of a field goal it would have been, like the spin rate, like that kind of stuff. But I haven't seen anything where you're not actually kicking a ball. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But hey, man, that might be $1 million idea.
It's
just saying.
Maybe something we could work on. Maybe I just gave it away. I don't know.
Just giving out $1 million ideas.
I guess so. I do agree with whatever this guy's handle is on YouTube.
The Lido deck.
For all that is holy. Lido deck, is that what that is?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that second was like a double L or what that was. Okay. The Lido deck. Lido deck life. For all that's holy, can we at least kick an extra point this coming weekend?
Look, all three of the guys that are on Notre Dame's roster were nationally ranked kickers. They should all be able to kick an extra point. It's all mental at this point. It's all mental.
And that's
part of that is the coach's problem, coach's fault.
Okay, so Vince is pointing the blame at
part of that is the
okay.
coach's fault.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Freeman referenced, like some of it being mental, some of it being physical, and he talked about a mental plan. So, what does a mental plan look like for a kicker?
Yeah, we've been working really hand in hand with Joey Raymaker, our sports psychologist. He meets with the specialists weekly, but we need to do more, right? And equip them with the right tools and practice the right tools so they can utilize them in crucial moments. Like, it's one thing to hear different ideas of what you can do, but if you don't practice them and work at them, you can't use them. You can't use them when they matter the most. You got to really work at them. And so we have a plan, right? And you're going to put as much work into the plan on the mental side as you do on the physical side. We'll kick them 2 days a week like we always do, and there's going to be 2 days a week for multiple lengths of time that they're working on practicing those different tools that could help them in those moments.
All right. So what do you think of that, Vince?
I mean, having extra mental coaching and all that's not there's no way that could be a bad thing. So, I'm all
especially
for that.
Since it seems like when you're missing extra points and chip shot field goals, it's like more mental than anything.
It's 100% mental, and the way the coaches are going about who is taking those kicks is also part of the problem, right? If you are a kicker, it's already a stressful job because so much has to go right in order for you to kick a good field goal or a good extra point, snap, hold, all of those things. For Notre Dame this year have not been great, by the way. So it's added pressure when you go up there thinking to yourself, okay, well, if I miss this kick, I lose my job, right? And then they put another kicker in, and he's thinking the exact same thing. He misses. Yeah. Now they got another kicker that they put in, and then who are you going to put in?
Yeah, exactly.
And so all you're thinking about when you go into the game now is, well, crap, I can't miss. Don't miss. And what are you going to do? You're going to miss. Like that. It's a problem. What they need to do, in my opinion, first of all, and Marcus Freeman made this very clear earlier. Now, there's going to be a cut, so I won't even say that. The solution's on the roster for this year. If you want to go back to the drawing board in the offseason, so be it. But the solution is on the roster this year. You need to pick a guy, and you need to tell him, look,
you're the guy.
You're the guy the rest of the way. Go practice, get right. You're the guy for the rest of the way.
Well, and by the way, he was asked today if Noah Burnett is still the guy, and it's not worth playing the soundbite, but he basically just said, Burnett as of right now.
Okay, I thought he said we're going to find out.
Well, unless something happens this week. As of now, Burnett is the guy, unless they're doing, a competition during the week and he gets beaten by one of the other two guys. Burnett's the guy.
The fact that you're having a kicking competition on November 3rd is...
Well, he didn't say they're having a competition.
I know, I'm just
saying. Obviously, if Burnett is the guy now, but something could happen over the course of the week, then that means you're doing something.
And I will also say that it is a little disturbing to me that he says they're never perfect in practice. That is a little disconcerting to me.
Extra points you should be.
Yeah.
It should just be automatic. I mean, that's what everyone thinks of an extra point, right?
We've seen how they do kicking in practice. They've got basically the first team and the second team, and they kind of do one of these where they go around and they each kick the same thing, but they're going like in a big circle, and they end up all kicking the same kicks. They're not exactly kicking 60-yarders. Like, they're all within the wheelhouse of what should be made in practice in a non-pressure situation. Maybe that was just a slip of the tongue where he said, well, they're not perfect in practice, but you should be close to perfect in practice. You should be close, if not perfect. But again, I might be splitting hairs.
On the golf simulator, football simulator idea that I was talking about, Brian NY in the YouTube chat says you are hitting the ball in a golf simulator. I'm aware of that. I mean, do you hit a real ball? Do they have like those little plastic kind of balls? Or
usually it's a real ball, but it could be like a composite.
My point with football, though, is if you were doing a simulator like that, like having the simulator, it's not that like a football weighs 5 pounds, but the repeated over and over and over again, like in Burnett's case, he came here with overuse, and obviously he still has an overuse issue. So my point would be if you had some kind of simulator where you're not actually kicking a football, but it could, like with a golf simulator, you could, replicate the, whether or not you actually kick a 30-yard field goal, or, you can make it certain distances and stuff like that, but you're not actually having the force of the strike of the football, so that he could still, get the swings of his leg in and work on the swings of his leg without the actual force of hitting a real football. I don't know, maybe you could put a Nerf football or something like that, something lighter. That was my point.
Yeah, I think you have to have
football,
some sort of something to kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've got to get used to the way the ball comes off of your foot and where it hits your foot and all of those different things. So I do think it has to be something. But hey, I am not an expert on kicking when it comes to preparation and all of those.
And I'm not an expert on physics or any of that.
Right.
It was just
right. Because we see a lot of hip issues with kickers because just the swing of your leg over and over and over again.
Swing the leg plus the force.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's like part of how Brandon Aubrey, for like as well as he's done, the fact that he didn't do that and it was mostly soccer.
Can we talk about that for a second?
You want me to play the cut first?
Please do.
You want me to play the cut?
Is
Okay.
the question in the cut? Because it was the way it was asked was just like I wanted to punch the screen.
Well, yeah. I mean, the question started with Brandon Aubrey's doing really well in the NFL. I can't remember exactly what came next, but it was like
basically Brandon Aubrey was a soccer player at Notre Dame. He's doing real well in the NFL. Why don't you go to the soccer team and pick somebody up? That was the question.
So that was kind of the gist of the question. Here is the answer that Marcus Freeman had to that.
The NCAA rule that before the season you set your rosters at 105, and there's guys that you can declare grandfathered in that were previously on your roster, but once your rosters are set, you can't add anybody to your roster, and so that's why we can't do anything about that right now.
That was a very political answer for a very terrible question. Can we talk about Brandon Aubrey's career? Like
he's awesome.
Well, no. I'm talking about his entire career and what led him to being a football kicker. He was a soccer player at Notre Dame, 100%. That is a fact. That is an actual fact.
Right.
Then he went and played professional soccer for a while.
Right.
Then he retired because he got cut, and he decided, I'm going to give football kicking a try.
Yeah.
Practiced for a year. Then got put on an XFL roster for a year. Then got picked up into the NFL. Like, this wasn't an overnight success story. He really worked at his craft.
Right.
The people that are like, well, Brandon Aubrey can do it. Go get a soccer play. Like, that is just such nonsense. You kick a ball completely differently. You kick a soccer ball completely differently than you do a football.
Right. He had, but the other side of that, Vince, is, I mean, and you know yourself, because you've got a son who both kicked and played soccer in high school, grew up playing soccer. A lot of these guys, when they get to high school, if they haven't kicked before, like the football team will, hold tryouts with soccer players. And it's like, can you kick an extra point? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they'll turn a soccer player into a kicker just because there aren't that many ready-made kickers to go. So I do have to imagine, and I completely understand where you're coming from. It's like, not everyone is going to turn into Brandon Aubrey just because you played soccer by any stretch of the imagination.
Correct.
But I'm sure that every college soccer team has at least one or two guys who probably also
played football in high school.
Played football and, was the kicker and the punter on the high school football team.
I thank the good Lord that this rule is in place so that we can just stop saying, go get a kicker from the soccer team. Because I'm so sick and tired of hearing it.
But it is something you could explore in the spring.
In the off season. Yes, in the off season. No stone unturned in the off season, right? I'll be sitting by my phone waiting for Notre Dame to call, because apparently any middle-aged fat guy can kick an extra point according to social media. So everybody wait by your phone because you might get a shot at kicking for Notre Dame.
Well, at least 20-something frat boys can kick if they're on Pat McAfee and College Game Day.
That's fair. But again, a lot more people miss than make. I'll just want to say that.
As a rule, it's funny because like in the first couple weeks of the season, I was listening to an interview with Herb Street, not on Game Day, but he was on a podcast, and somebody asked him about, like the kickers. And this was like week 2 or 3 after a couple guys, like the two guys had already
He was
made it.
losing lots of money.
Well, and what Herb Street said at that time was, I would set the over under for the rest of the season at 2.5.
Yeah.
And I think since that, there's been probably like at least 5 more guys who have made them. I know the Vandy guy made it a couple of weeks ago, and what the Utah kid made it this past weekend, right? Like,
I couldn't tell you because YouTube TV doesn't have ESPN,
right.
so I don't know.
I know more miss than make, but there have been a lot more makes than there traditionally. I think this is year 4 maybe for doing it, something like that. There have been more makes this year, a lot more makes. I think they're batting around 500. I'll have to look and see if someone's got that up someplace.
They need to get rid of if you win the raffle, you get to have like a proxy. They need to get rid of that.
I didn't know they had that.
Oh, that's how most of them are making it, because they whenever they have like 2 people.
So you win so that's why 2 people show up sometimes. So
because
like you're kicking, okay.
Person A wins and they're like, no, I want this person to kick for me.
Yeah.
And it's always somebody who's kicked before.
It needs to be you. That's right.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Exactly right.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will begin rapid fire a little bit earlier than usual. Not going to be a whole lot earlier than usual because we're backed up a little bit this hour, but we're ending at 6:25.
That's what we do.
Rapid fire is next. Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com.
Kickers rule.
And it's hour number 2 of Budweiser's weekday sports beat. Short second hour. We've got Notre Dame men's basketball tipping off at 7 o'clock in the pregame at 6:30 here on Sports Radio WSBT. So, Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
You know it, baby. Let's go. Rapid fire, and there's still a 5 in front of the clock. So let's do this. This is good.
All right. We're at least in a little bit early then. So the first college football playoff rankings of the season will be announced Tuesday night. Here's what the rankings look like in this week's AP poll. Ohio State, number 1, followed by Indiana and Texas A&M. All 3 of those teams are unbeaten. Then you've got one-loss teams, Alabama at number 4, followed by Georgia, Oregon, and Ole Miss. BYU unbeaten in the Big 12 at number 8. They actually play number 9 Texas Tech with 1 loss this week. Notre Dame is the top 2-loss team at number 10. Another 2-loss team, Oklahoma, number 11, followed by number 12, Virginia, then Texas, then Louisville, and then Vanderbilt. Miami, by the way, checks in at number 18 after suffering their second loss over the weekend. So, how close to those rankings do you think the college football playoff rankings will look like Tuesday night?
I think they'll be pretty close. When I kind of did my own rankings about how I think they should come out, I have a little bit of a difference, than what they had, and but I think they'll be pretty close. I mean, there has been some separation, obviously, through November 1st, but not enough yet, and so I think we're not ready to start splitting hairs just yet. You know what I mean?
Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama. That's 1 through 4. Do you have any different order in your top 4?
Nope, I've got that top 4. Yep.
And the thing about Alabama and Georgia, because even though Alabama got boat raced by Florida State to start the season, they've obviously won out since then, including the head-to-head with Georgia. That's exactly. Georgia's only loss right now. So you have head-to-head there, so that makes sense.
Yep.
Is there more of a case for Indiana than Ohio State to be number 1 tomorrow?
You could make a case for it. And honestly, if that happened, I wouldn't be upset about it, because I think if you look at both schedules, I think IU has better wins right now than Ohio State does. So
I do too.
I think that if they're going to make a change at the top, that's very doable. I have no problem with that. My next change from the AP to what I think they should do is at number 7. I would drop Oregon a few spots.
You mean number 6? Isn't Oregon?
Is that where he's at? Oh, 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Wherever they are.
Oregon is number 6. You would have them down a couple spots behind Ole Miss and BYU.
And Texas Tech.
Oh, you'd have them behind Tech as well.
Yeah, absolutely. BYU's best win is over number 17 Utah. So is Texas Tech's. So Oregon has no ranked wins at all. So I would put Oregon behind BYU and Texas Tech. Now,
their best win right now is over Penn State, which is not a good win.
They haven't beaten a Power 4 team since January. So
a ranked Power 4 team.
What's that?
A ranked Power 4. Oh, you're talking about Penn State.
I'm talking about Penn State. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was talking about Penn State.
So talking about Oregon and the rest.
That's not a good win. They don't even have a head coach anymore. You know what I mean? So I would drop Oregon to 9, and I would have Ole Miss, BYU, and Texas Tech ahead of Oregon. Again, that would be for 1 week, because Texas Tech and BYU are playing each other. So one of them is going to drop.
Yeah, there's a big question of how good really is Oregon this year, because they're again, their win at Penn State means absolutely nothing now, because Penn State went in the tank, starting with that game, losing to UCLA the next week, and Northwestern the week after that. And that was supposed to be Oregon's signature win, but then they turn around a couple weeks later and lose at home to Indiana, which, I mean, again, Indiana's a good team. No one's faulting anyone for losing, but Oregon doesn't have a signature win of any kind.
No, they don't. And so but they only have 1 loss. And so that's why, I mean, they're still in the top 10. They're still 9. So, I mean, that would just drop them out of hosting a game, which I think is appropriate at this point. And again, these rankings are for right now. This is not a prediction of what we think it's going to be at the end of the season, but this is for right now. I would have them behind both Big 12 teams.
I think what I'm most curious to see, because there is this conversation there with these. Like BYU is undefeated, so I've got no problem with them being
Right.
up at number 8. Now, they're going to play Texas Tech this week, but Tech lost to Arizona State. And, other than like, what is Texas Tech's best win this season?
It probably would have been this past
Utah.
week.
I think Utah is probably their best.
Yep.
They beat Kansas State. Like Kansas State, not a good team this year. I think it's safe to say that. And so
it's the number. It's Utah.
Really their best win.
Yeah, 100%. It's Utah, number 17 Utah. And again, that's why I have BYU and Texas Tech over Oregon, because they have a ranked win and Oregon doesn't. You know what I mean? So you got no ranked wins. I'm still putting you in the top 10, but you're going to be behind some people with ranked wins.
So Notre Dame in the AP poll is at number 10, the top ranked 2-loss team. Again, they've got Miami all the way down at number 18. I'm really curious to see what the committee does with Miami and also what they do with USC, to be quite honest, because we've seen before with these college football playoff committees where, especially like these teams that are down in that 15 to 25 range, they really take some liberties with where some of those teams are. And it feels like it is to justify maybe how highly they have
other
teams ahead of them ranked. So will the win over USC, for example, help Notre Dame? Like, would the committee have USC maybe ranked as high as 19th or 20th or something like that if they have Notre Dame, up a little bit higher?
The short answer is yes, because they manipulate that 15 through 25 very much to back up what they want to do with the top 15
Exactly.
teams. They've done that.
They basically make
year.
those more quality wins.
Yes, 100%. And they also do that for future opponents as well to make sure you've got some ranked opponents in there. If you get a W, those kinds of things. So it helps, justify the teams, because at the end of the day, what matters is basically the top 10, more or less, top 10, top 12. That's what matters. And so they will do whatever they need to do to justify where they have those teams.
But what do they do with Notre Dame and Miami? Because they're both 2-loss teams right now. And I realize that Miami just suffered, a worse loss than what Notre Dame has so far. But Miami also has a head-to-head with Notre Dame. So, do you think the committee is going to put Miami all the way down at 18, or could they even be, almost even with Notre Dame, if not even ahead of Notre Dame?
I do not think they will be ahead of Notre Dame, because it does matter when you lose as well. And Miami losing in November, the manner in which they lost, you can't do that. I think they'll be behind Notre Dame, but I also do not think that they'll be 18. I think they'll be higher up.
I do too.
Because why? Because it will boost Notre Dame's resume, because they're going to have Notre Dame.
I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to be within 2 spots of Notre Dame.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah.
That's my guess.
And Miami and Notre Dame, they play a bunch of ACC teams. So, a lot of common opponents, things like that.
Yeah.
I think they'll be very close to each other.
Look, a lot of, timing is important. I don't disagree with that.
And who you lose to is important.
Bomb says also who you lose to. I don't disagree with that. But there's also the head-to-head. That's why, because we have no problem with Alabama being ahead of Georgia, for example, even though Alabama lost to Florida State at the start of the season. But Alabama's got the head-to-head with Georgia, and they both got 1 loss, and they're both ranked really high. So,
but that's
more. These people, are you rationalizing where you want Notre Dame, or what I mean?
To a degree, but at the same time, I think first of all, they only have 1 loss, and so it's a little bit different, because I think Notre Dame's 2 losses and Miami's 2 losses are not very equal. You know what I mean? And so I don't think at the end of the day, the differentiator for me is not head-to-head. It's who you lost to and when. So I'm not saying Miami needs to be 10 spots below Notre Dame, but I do think that they will be behind Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame is definitely going to be ahead of Oklahoma, who has a win over Tennessee. And I forgot to write down who their losses are to. One of them is to Ole Miss, and the other one is to Texas.
Correct.
So you've got a lot of 2-loss mess kind of going on.
I I honestly, and I think I said this to you before the show started. If you've got Oklahoma over Notre Dame right now, I really don't have a huge issue with that. I think they're very comparable.
I think there's
right
a
now.
case. Yeah.
They have better wins than Notre Dame has, and Notre Dame has better losses, if that's a thing. So,
The bigger question for them is the health of Mateer, because he got hurt again. And you brought up before we started the show about how Florida State got left out with an undefeated team 2 years ago
because of the quarterback.
Because their quarterback was injured.
Right. The biggest issue for Oklahoma is their next game, which isn't this week. It'll be next week. Their next game is on the road at Alabama. And then they also have Missouri, who's ranked, and then obviously a no head coach LSU. Yeah. But they've got a tough last 3 games of the season.
They do.
And Notre Dame doesn't have that.
And
right?
It could also be with a backup quarterback or an injured
Absolutely.
quarterback trying to play.
So that's why right now, if you want to have Oklahoma over Notre Dame, okay, cool. I think but again, I think that particular argument will shake out by the time you get to the end of the season.
Yeah. So we've both got Notre Dame in. I think the highest they're going to be ranked is 10th.
Yes,
I think there's a good chance they could be 11th or 12th though, as well. And of course, the X factor in this is like where they put Memphis, like how Memphis shows up in this, because the top group of 5 team is going to get in. So even though they're doing straight seeding this year, the top group of 5 team is going to get in. And right now that is Memphis, and they are sitting at number 22 in the AP poll this week. So that's going to bump somebody. So it is important, and the other thing is like Virginia in the AP poll is sitting at number 12. They're the top ACC team right now. Louisville's a little bit behind them. I wonder if the committee even ranks Louisville ahead of Virginia with where they are right now. I think that I would probably, if I'm doing like based on the way they're playing right now, how good are they right now? Since, like we're talking about how much recency means, I think Louisville is going to be ranked ahead of Virginia.
Okay.
But again, someone's going to get bumped from that 12 spot because of the fact that you have to move Memphis up there.
Right. And I think somebody's going to get bumped from the 11 spot, because I don't think Louisville or Virginia belong in the 11 hole, to be honest with you. So I think 11, if you're ranked 11 or 12 in the top 25 of the CFP, I think you're getting bumped by the ACC champ and by the group of 5 champ.
Right.
So that's going to be the problem for tonight. And again, that might not be the issue in a few weeks, but I think that's going to be the issue tonight.
The other thing that factors into this, though, when we start talking about Notre Dame, and, I was talking about this at the end of last week with independence, and, because of Notre Dame's, I think it helps Notre Dame being an independent, taking the whole conversation about conference championship games out of it, because of the fact that they play such diverse schedules, because of the fact they've played Big Ten teams and SEC teams, and they play all these ACC teams every year. Well, they have a resounding win over NC State this year from what, about a month ago at this point, not quite a month ago. They have a resounding win over NC State. And as of today, NC State has wins over 2 of the top teams in the ACC right now. They've beaten both Virginia and Georgia Tech. And again, they may have just ended Georgia Tech's playoff hopes Georgia Tech's basically at this point got to get into the ACC championship game and probably win it to get in. I don't think they're getting an at-large unless they beat Georgia in the, to end the regular season. But again, so, when you evaluate Notre Dame, that's part of the factor as well. They've got a won handily against NC State, and NC State has beaten 2 of the teams that are at the top of the ACC standings.
I agree. That's all part of the conversation though, too. You know what I mean? And so, and again, I have Notre Dame 10, but if you put Oklahoma 10, like, okay, I mean, that's fine. I get it. And then you want Notre Dame 11. Okay, that's fine. Again, they're going to get bumped by the ACC champ, and they're going to get bumped by the G5. So they would be the first team out of the tournament if that's the case. So things to look for tomorrow night, I think, are who's the top ranked 2-loss team, okay, in the initial rankings, because that's going to tell you a lot about what the committee thinks about 2-loss teams.
Exactly.
That's going to be the biggest
and
thing to look for.
It's really going to go a long way toward what Notre Dame's playoff chances are.
Absolutely. And I think the top of the ranking, Ohio State, Indiana. I think they'll put Ohio State ahead because it's Ohio State. I still think that's a thing.
Yeah.
And
they're the defending national champ. They haven't
Yeah.
lost since Thanksgiving weekend last year.
Absolutely. And so, you're the champ until you're not, right?
Mhm.
And so I have no problem with that. And then I'm also curious to see what they do with Oregon. Like, those are the things that I'm going to be watching for. And then, of course, 15 through 25. What does that look like? Where are they propping teams up?
Who are they propping up
Yeah.
with those? Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're going to take our final timeout, and then we're back to wrap things up. More rapid fire still coming. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Winding down Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com and Rapid Fire with Vince D'Addario, Sean Stiers. Time for a few more questions before we have to leave for some Notre Dame men's basketball tonight. Fill in the blank, Vince. Jeremiah Love striking a Heisman pose after his 94-yard touchdown run against Boston College was blank.
Classic. It was classic. Why not? Huge play. And, biggest play of the game, obviously, I have no problem with it. I mean, at this point, if you're not pubbing yourself, then you're not going to make it down there. So pub yourself. This is 2025, man.
Pump yourself. Yes.
Pub yourself. Like this, go after
pub
it.
yourself. Okay.
Pub. Yeah. Pub, like publicize, like get it out there.
I got you. I thought you were like pump yourself.
Oh, that too. Pump yourself.
I like that. I like that. It's the start of the campaign, man. It's like, this is it. I think maybe Jeremiah Love officially launched himself into the Heisman race, even though over the weekend I've seen some Heisman lists, and one of them actually included CJ Carr and not Jeremiah Love. It's like CJ Carr is awesome. He has been great this year, but it's like that run for Jeremiah Love to me was like the launching off point. And I thought it was the perfect time to strike a little Heisman pose in the end zone as well. And, like the barking at the bench down the sideline. Did you see the tweet from his dad?
I did.
Apparently he was doing it because he said the coach. He didn't say which coach, if it was Marcus Freeman or J1 Sider, like they challenged him that he didn't have another 90-plus yard run in him. And so that's why he was barking at his own sideline.
I dig it.
On that run. That was awesome.
I dig it. I think I think that's great, man. They challenged him. He did it. I mean, he went untouched for 94 yards. One of the best blocked runs of the season.
Fill in the blank. Jesse used the adjective fantastic to describe Notre Dame's defensive performance on Saturday. Your adjective to describe the Notre Dame defensive performance is blank.
My adjective is good, not great, is what I would say. They were really good.
Those are two adjectives.
You're right. I will say, well, can I use like a modifier? How about very good? They were very good. They were very good. I'll say very good. So a modifier to my adjective, because good isn't good enough. They were very good, but I would not say fantastic because there was too many missed tackles that allowed those really long. I mean, they gave up 3 double-digit play drives. Like, that's not good. You can't do that against a team that's 1-7. You can't do that.
I don't completely disagree because of the missed tackles. I think some of that had to do with coming out of the break. But, like, here's the thing for me. It's hard to find one adjective to adequately describe how they look because I don't think that they were fantastic. I would agree with that. I don't think they were exceptional by any means or spectacular or, anything glowing like that. I do think that they were really good. So, maybe that's a double adjective as well. But I would say it was probably quality, like a quality defensive performance, even though, you left, I think, wanting a little bit more than either Jesse or I because of some of the yardage and stuff like that. But they held BC to 12 net rushing yards on 33 carries. That is less than a yard per carry, 0.4, a decimal point and 4 yards per carry. And, they finished with 5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. So they were disruptive up front, 9 quarterback hurries as well. BC had 281 total yards, which is the second fewest they've allowed this year. And they also averaged just 3.6 yards per play, which is the lowest in terms of Notre Dame's defensive yards per play allowed this year. And I get it. They had lost 7 straight, and now they've lost 8 straight. But for the most part, they did what they were supposed to do. Here's what I think. I think that, like you talked about, letting some of those drives linger and that kind of thing. Like, would you have only been satisfied if they had gotten a shutout against Boston College? Like, it feels like maybe, that's kind of how some people feel about it. I feel like between the kicking struggles and the fact that the offense, even though statistically the offense ended up with a better looking game, they go the first quarter without scoring. BC, gets the field goal, and all of a sudden it's a 12-10 game. So it's still very uncomfortable. And, the fact that they missed the 3 extra points and a field goal, that's 6 points in itself right there. The 3 extra points and the field goal. Price fumbles. So now, inside the 5-yard line. So now you're talking about 13 points and they miss a field goal. That's 16 points right there. Would you feel differently about the defensive performance if the scoreboard ended up reading 41-10 instead of 25-10 at the end of the game? Because I feel
personally or fans,
I feel like some of the offensive choppiness led to sort of how you feel about how the defense played.
Are you talking about me personally or fans?
You can go either way. You personally,
I think to your point, I think fans are absolutely, as a whole, are very much the way you said it. I watched a cut up of just defensive plays, for 35 straight minutes of just defensive plays. They too many misses, too many. I mean, here's the other thing. It's not just the players. The scheme that they were running was very reminiscent of the first few games of the season,
and that's fair. I think. And Corey,
first half of the game.
Corey asked this in the YouTube chat. Is no one concerned that Chris Ash reverted to his old ways this game? He did. I think he got scared too fast with the threat of Grayson James' legs because he went, running quarterback, a guy, dual threat. I think that's where he got scared. He didn't want Grayson James to impact the game with his legs. And so what it ended up with is this dink and dunk, and some of the drives continue and they're converting on 3rd down, 3rd and short, and stuff like that. It's Chris Ash, I know you've watched Grayson James on tape, but you look at his stat sheet, he had like 61 yards going into the game. It's like I think he can extend plays and do some different things, but I think that he was too overly concerned with James impacting the game as a runner. And I think that's why he reverted to that.
Yeah. And there's also, Christian Gray didn't play. And so I think they ran more zone because Christian Gray wasn't in the game. So, I mean, that's a reason. I don't like that as an excuse, but it's a reason as well that they ran more zone than they did because there was just way too many easy access passes. 3rd and 14, and you allow a slant for a first down. Like, that's not okay. And again, that's not the player's fault. That's how they were lined up. You know what I mean? But you can't do that.
Tommy in the YouTube chat says it was blatantly obvious when Ash went from the Notre Dame defense to the Ash defense. Vince, I think this is a record. We hit 2 topics in quote unquote rapid fire.
Hey,
tonight.
less work for tomorrow. You'll be ready to go for tomorrow,
Very true. Very true. All right, we've got Notre Dame men's basketball coming up. Season opener as they host Long Island tonight. The broadcast starts in about 5 minutes. We've got Notre Dame women's basketball later this week. We are out. We'll be back tomorrow. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.